Hi. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's so nice to connect with you like this. We are live. It is December 19th, and I wanted to talk about the Capricorn Solstice energies. So thank you for making time in your day to do so. It always takes me a minute to get ready for the lives, It's a different energy. So I'm glad you're here. And I hope you've had a lovely Sagittarius season as we move into the next chapter of the astrological year. Hi, Peg. Hi, Iggy. Hi. It's so cool to see you guys live. And hi, Jen, Wendy, everyone. And I know that when you watch back on the replays, it's a different experience. So I try and keep that in mind when I'm filming these. So the solstice is happening, the Capricorn solstice, December 21st at 4:21 a.m. And I like to call it the Capricorn solstice because I know how we have our two hemispheres, right? It's either your winter solstice or your summer solstice. We always refer to it winter solstice because more of the global population is in the northern hemisphere. But of course, for those in the southern hemisphere, it is your summer solstice. And so the word solstice means sun stands still. And I always think this is a beautiful way of understanding the energy here. Okay, so every solstice, twice a year, one in Cancer, one in Capricorn, is a standing still, a moment of standing still. And in Capricorn, we have reached, or we are reaching for, a higher peak of consciousness. An understanding of what has all of this been about? What have my lived experiences taught me and shown me? What is going on here? What is this? Where is this taking me next? And so the summer, or rather the Cancer solstice, is about what is ready to grow and bloom and develop. And now 6 months later, at this Capricorn solstice, it's a quiet reflection and careful analysis of how far you've come, what you've accomplished. It's great to look at this year, right? The Gregorian calendar year of 2024. Can you remember what those resolutions were? Or what your intentions were for 2024? The solstice is a good time to check in on that and look at what has developed, what you've been through that has shaped you and formed you. Capricorn being the third and final earth sign, and what you've created in your life, what you've mastered in your life. So there's this like peacefulness that can come about with each solstice. And I feel that the Capricorn solstice is meant to take us higher into what we've been mastering and how we've been living a purposeful life. And that can change every year, right? Like what you would describe or what you would understand as a purposeful life is going to look different based on what you've been through and what you've changed and what you've, had to go through. So allow this solstice to be a time of intentionally sitting with yourself and your energy. And I feel too like, we have to pull in how Pluto is done with Capricorn. And so this is a new start in the Capricorn areas of your life after that Pluto in Capricorn intensity since 2008. So this solstice could feel quite different for you, and just the journey into Capricorn season could feel different because Pluto has moved on. What has transformed for you? What have you had to take responsibility for at a whole new level of your being? That's what Capricorn requires. You know, it requires you to get in alignment with the purpose, mission, things that you wanted to experience and move through in this lifetime. But you had to go through the intense Pluto in Capricorn evolution that churns and churns and requires us to dig deeper. This particular Capricorn season, you could feel that refresh, the refresh of, what do I want now? What matters to me now? What do I want my life to look like? What am I building and developing? What am I dedicated to? And I think there's a new intentionality here in the Capricorn areas of our charts, because it's been so intense. Like, that's just been so intense that part of what you're meant to understand is how far you've come, or what you've had to, face, because Pluto brings up the fears you had to face in Capricorn about your power, your authority, your ability to live a good life on your own terms. And what do you want to direct your energy towards now? And so this solstice could be a beautiful time of receiving those messages and receiving that awareness about how you're different now, what has shifted for you, what has new meaning, and also what doesn't have meaning, right? Like, what has fallen away, and maybe you thought, something was so important to you, like it was this big goal, it was this big achievement, and maybe you've reached that peak, you've climbed that mountain, and now you're reassessing. What do I want next? I also feel that this solstice and moving into this Capricorn season is meant to bring you a new sense of peace, because the sun in Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is in Pisces. And Pisces energy is about the endings, the closure, where you're moving through something that's phasing out, that's ending. And Saturn wants you to take inventory and stock of what that is, how to find peace with a chapter or a part of your life. And as I say that, and as I talk about this Saturn in Pisces, we're also experiencing Saturn squaring Jupiter retrograde in Gemini at 14 degrees, and that's exact here, December 24th. So as we move through that solstice portal, we're then met with something that's unresolved, that we don't feel peaceful about. And it could be unsettled and stirring in your head and figuring it out, and what if I do this, and maybe I should do that, and what if I don't do this, and what if I don't do that? It has this energy of it keeps like popping up. And so the guidance here is to look for the higher pathway that brings you peace for the long term. And so the Jupiter retrograde in Gemini is more about the immediate, because it's the everyday. And it's the part of you that could, fire off this email or send this this text message or go into this chat room or do something locally, right? It's kind of like that fast moving, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. But the square to Saturn is like, but think about if that's going to be best for the long term. So there could be a part of you here too that's realizing I'm not at peace because my energy hasn't been focused on the long-term objective or the long-term, like closing out something. It's kind of like if you leave a job in haste, if you give your 2 weeks too soon, or you fire off a message and then realizing later I didn't handle that well, or I have regrets, or I could have said this instead of this. Like there could be a sense here of do it from your more evolved state. Do plan for whatever evolves your soul. Plan for that long-term, it's like this the long-term peace where you look back and you're like, I handled that well. I did that maturely. I was respectful. I was honest. I was truthful. That's this energy that is coming up strongly here as we move into Capricorn season. And this Saturn in Pisces is so important because it's meant to take you into some area of resolution so that you can move on. And so the mind is figuring out, how do I do that? Or what does that look like? Or how do I say it? Or what do I research? Or what information do I need? And I feel too, like because this energy has already been in play since August, which is when the first Saturn-Jupiter square happened at 17 degrees, it's already been something that you've been like figuring out or sitting with. And it's coming up now with this square. And it's interesting too, because the square is happening around the holidays, towards the end of the year. And we just energetically feel like, what do I need to resolve? What do I need to take care of? What do I need to close out for 2024? What do I not want to deal with going into the new year? We have this sense of, tidying up our lives. And it's about going higher so that you can see how much you've grown. This is also closing out karma, closing out some big soul lessons and chapters that, for each, it's different for every person, obviously, but this is about, you do it from your mature perspective. You do it from your more evolved state. And it feels too, like, as I just like feel into this, it's like, and you feel that in the silence. Like you can feel that in like when you're quiet with yourself, when you just have a moment to hear your heart. As I put my hand on my heart, you hear it from your heart space. So, oh, it's your higher heart. Oh, it's the soul heart. It's the soul's connection to your heart of like, this is what the true message is. Okay. So now I'm seeing it as a message is coming through that the mind might be overriding or shutting down. The ego doesn't like, you're like, I don't know if I want to say that. I don't know how to express that. But your soul is like giving you that message or something to your heart space. Keep in mind, this could be a message to yourself. It doesn't have to be about anybody else. There could be something here where you're like, receiving a message from the universe or from your soul about something you've been moving through or navigating or figuring out, right? Like this can show up in so many ways, but I feel that Capricorn season wants you to feel stronger and more purposeful in what that soul heart message is that brings you peace. That brings you peace. I'm also feeling forgiveness. And the forgiveness part is always important in Pisces. And so forgiveness is something that you do for yourself primarily, and you do for the energy exchange or for another person, a situation, a group, whatever the case may be. Forgiveness allows you to move forward. And that's one of the intentions of Saturn in Pisces. And that's also what Capricorn wants you to do. So Capricorn season wants you to have greater clarity around how you're ready to move forward, but in a peaceful, holistic way where you're detaching and saying or understanding with acceptance of anything that you've been through, you're feeling, whatever the case may be, because we've been in such intense energies. I'm going to say, well, we could say 2020. Like that's a simple collective marker of energetics. Every single person on the planet has been through a lot. We've each been through a lot. And that means like as we're growing, we're not perfect. None of us are. None of us are perfect. None of us get it right or know, exactly how to handle these new situations that we're moving through. And so there is the need to accept your humanness, to love yourself, to accept what you're understanding, and to know that that's the best you can do sometimes. And then if you take that and give that to yourself, and then you allow that to then permeate into all other relationships, connections, areas of life. I'm even seeing like environments, like if environments were toxic or difficult or horrible, whatever it is for you, like if you allow that acceptance and forgiveness to move through you, and as I say that, I'm getting like that visual of, Pisces is the ocean, and it's just like a tidal wave of forgiveness. It's a tidal wave of acceptance, completion, move it out, move it forward. You don't have to allow things to sit in your energy or to stay with you. And so part of the seasonal change here is you understanding with the Capricorn energies and with this Saturn in Pisces, what are you allowing yourself to accept and come to peace with? And allowing yourself to accept humanness, accept people where they're at, to be in a state of, it's a detachment in Capricorn. It is what it is Capricorn. It's understanding, that this is what it was, or this is what I felt, or whatever. You're just accepting it. And the ability to move on from that can set you free in really big ways. And because we've had such big energies over the past number of years, people have been in a lot of big experiences that have pushed them. We've been pushed into new parts of ourselves. We've been pushed into intense experiences. And we do the best we can, but you're meant to keep moving forward. You're meant to keep going. Like life moves forward, right? Life is meant to keep going into the next cycle. What do you need to clear out in order to do that for yourself? Because that's going to give you some deep some deep peace. And I'm just getting that that visual of the movie. What is it again? It's the Christmas movie where he gets visited by the ghost of Christmas past, Christmas present, Christmas future. Why can I not think of this movie? That movie is beautiful for the Capricorn archetypes that it brings up. Yeah, it's the Scrooge. Wonderful Life. It has different names. Scrooge was Bill Murray, right? A Wonderful Life. Yeah, okay, thank you. That's it. That's the movie. Those are each Capricorn archetypes too. When he's like, I'm going to keep working harder and collect all this money and be mean to people, and I don't care about connections, and I don't care about my family. And so if you look at that movie through the lens of Capricorn, it's the archetypes, some of the archetypes of Capricorn, but it allows you to also get a perspective on your own life. And I feel like there's this reset that happens. There's this understanding of what you're going to do going forward that's different. And it also, it's based on what you've been through. One of the things about Capricorn energy, it can be, in the negative expressions, it can be cruel, can be heartless, can be the bully, and it can be hardened to life. Carrying too much on your back, feeling like the world is on your back, just feeling like everything is hard. And so one way to work with this as we move into Capricorn season is to look at where you need a break, where you need to let yourself off the hook, where you need to be more compassionate and kind to yourself. And it just feels too like it's so needed right now, because we can go into a lot of lower vibrations and lower consciousness that doesn't reflect your actual more ascended state. Because as we're working with these energies and ascending and spiraling and learning, we need time to integrate. We need time to check ourselves at the door and be like, wait, I'm going to do this from my more evolved state, from a more loving state, from a more compassionate perspective. And we have to keep checking ourselves to ensure that we're practicing and living from that energy. And so that is something to be aware of here as we move into Capricorn season. Don't allow yourself to get too pulled into what's going on in the real world, the movie that's unfolding, the things that are happening. Like, don't allow that to take you away from how far you've come on your path and your own higher expressions. I mean, so many people have more light now. You're embodying more light on a regular basis. You're living from that. And then it's really easy to get pulled back into some of these lower states or expressions that you've actually outgrown. So you could have some realizations here as we move into Capricorn season around, again, how you're different and how you've changed in some really dramatic ways. Now, as we move into this fourth quarter of the astrological wheel, we move into Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces energies, the 10th, 11th, and 12th signs of the zodiac. And this is where there are, let's say, stronger frequency connections to the bigger picture of what's happening on the planet. And this means that the sun is going to be making conjunctions to Pluto in Aquarius, Saturn in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, and it'll be the North Node in Pisces too. So now the sun is going to be bringing your attention to the Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces areas of your charts, and how it's like there's serious matters to look at here in these parts of your life. And as the sun shines the consciousness and awareness on these zodiac signs, you're going to have a new awareness around what you're changing and what you're moving to that wasn't previously available to you. And we're going to be seeing a lot more world changes happening. I mean, that's like across the board in 2025. I keep getting drawn to the Saturn, Neptune in Pisces, working with the North Node. Big endings, big empires falling, big completions at a grand scale. There's things that are going to be happening at a global level that change our planet forever, and they're meant to. They're meant to. And it's going to possibly leave us in this Pisces energy of what next? What now? It feels like I don't have answers. I'm just trusting, and I'm showing up, and I'm moving through. I do want to say, and I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. But please prioritize your health. Please prioritize your well-being, physical health, mental health, energetic health. Because as we enter into strong Pisces energy, health is very important. And again, we don't want there to be any kind of global health issue, especially if it's a false flag or something ridiculous that isn't real. We're done with that. But I mean that the strong focus on Pisces energies can bring up collective health. So part of what we can work with and understand is that there's cycles that we learn from, and you're meant to trust your intuition. And that's part of the spiritual advancement. As Saturn and Neptune get closer together, there's things that are going to be coming up that could have you wondering what's next. It could bring up confusion, more propaganda. It can bring up questioning what's real, what's not. We've never had this energy in our life. Saturn and Neptune together in the late degrees of Pisces, and then the North Node, which signals we're meant to grow through this. We're meant to evolve and embrace the higher Pisces energies so that we can be aware of what we're putting our trust in and what we are putting faith into. And so it has a seriousness to it because of Saturn. So that's just my heads up. My heads up around any type of global crisis in the first quarter of 2025. And to note that we get through things. We're meant to keep going. We have the fortitude. We have the intelligence. We have the ability to figure it out. And there's going to be a lot of questions, a lot of questioning authority, questioning information, questioning what's real, what's not. And to know that one of the best things you can do on your path right now is continue to develop your intuition, is to continue to listen to those parts of yourself that you can easily override. And so that's why this particular Saturn in Pisces squaring Jupiter and Gemini is an important experience or exercise in listening to your intuition and then understanding the messages that your mind, Gemini, is giving you. We are bombarded with too much information these days, too much stimuli. You know, there's so much circling around us all the time. It can be challenging to even settle or to know what to believe, to know what to trust. So the first quarter of 2025 is a time to be questioning, to be really using your cognitive abilities, to be aware of the programming that is used through mass media, through politics, through religion, through all these areas of our lives. What I'm feeling so strongly is that humanity is evolving out of this programming. Most of us, many people have, but even more are going to be evolving out of what we thought was truth, or what we thought was the way to think about something or the way to approach it. And to be active, to be active in what you're questioning, in looking at important data and facts and information. Pluto in Aquarius is going to be revealing some big truths around programming and information. The mass media. What has been communicated and put out there. So we're entering into a very dynamic chapter here as we move through Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces season. And then, of course, we approach that astrological new year of the Aries equinox. I can't remember if it's March 20th this year or March 21st. But the next 3 months are really big, are jam-packed. We have the next Mars-Pluto opposition, January 3rd. Mars retrograde at 1 degrees of Leo, Pluto in Aquarius at 1 degrees. And that is the energy of a separation, of fighting for something and not getting it. That's the energy of something in your will, your personal will, up against that Plutonic force that is going to powerfully challenge, remove, disconnect. I'm going to have a separate video for you talking about that more, because we've never experienced that energy before in our lives either, with the Leo Aquarius axis, which is about ultimately recreation. You're meant to be recreating something new in your life. And the themes are the strongest starting in January until the end of April. Okay, so January 3rd is when Mars and Pluto oppose each other in Leo and Aquarius for the first time ever in our lives. And then they meet up again for a second time the end of April, April 25th, 26th at 3 degrees of Leo, 3 degrees of Aquarius, another standoff. And how I feel this energy, let people go their own way. Honor sovereignty. Honor a breakup, a breakthrough, a breakdown. Honor the split, honor the separation, honor whatever needs to be dismantled or torn apart. Because especially January to the end of April, that's the energy that needs to be brought to our collective awareness. And then after that tension subsides and there's no longer that strong oppositional force between the warrior, Mars, and the Plutonic destruction, then there's going to be new awareness around what you want to recreate in your life that actually is a better fit for your authentic self. Because Pluto in Aquarius is holding the frequency of who you are across the cosmos. So it connects to your imprints and your gifts and your spark and your essence and your awesomeness beyond what your immediate self knows, which is Leo. Leo is that sense of self where you want to be seen, you want to express yourself, you want to create something that's uniquely you. It's about the courage and the leadership and the desire to use your will in a healthy way. And Pluto says, first we're going to destroy that so that you can rebuild it and recreate it. And I feel like with any Pluto opposition, you've got to let people go their own way, be in their power, trust their path, do what they need to do. Don't fight it. Don't try to control it. Don't try to manipulate it. Watch out for those power struggles. Because the universe is saying it's time for this redirection in a life path, in what you desire. This can relate to matters of the heart because Leo is about what you love. It is about love, romance, dating. It's about how you establish a heart-based connection with others. So if you don't have that with some people in your life, they may be removed. That might be what falls apart. This is also looking at what gets you angry, what is challenging you, where you're pissed off, where things are getting riled up and coming up. There's a lot here in the collective, but at an individual level, in your chart, look at where you have 1 degree of Leo and 1 degree of Aquarius. And that's where the challenge, the breakup, the struggle is presenting itself. And Pluto is the stronger energy. So wherever you have transiting Pluto in Aquarius is the stronger force. It's the stronger force. So as Mars has been moving slowly here through Leo retrograde in December, this has already been coming up. But the new year begins with more drastic measures. And I feel like as I'm seeing it energetically, because that Pluto in Aquarius has a bigger vantage point about what you're here to experience and live in this lifetime, the Leo energy can be, it has it's like a more, it's not, it's, what's the word? It doesn't have that vantage point. It's more immediate. It's more like, this is what I want right now. And Pluto in Aquarius is like, okay, but your future self is in a different frequency. Your future self is over in a different playing field. Let's get you in alignment with where you need to go, with what that future self is already co-creating for you. And so then it shuts down and challenges any of that like limited scope of the Mars in Leo, which is, I want this now. I'm going to do this now. This is what matters to me now. So there's, you could see it as two different timelines of your energy at war. And it is a war energy. And I don't want to say that. I mean, considering everything that's going on in the world, we can see it. But I want to focus on how this can be more empowering for you to work with it. Because there's something, it's meant to be over. Pluto's ending some big things January through April. January through April. Don't rush it. You can't rush to the next thing. You can't rush to recreate. You can't rush. Yeah, you get the point. Because what happens, like if something falls down, you're like, oh, I'll just recreate it right away. And it's like, no, that won't work. And Pluto returns to this 1 degree of Aquarius the end of the year. So, you know, part of the Plutonic journey is to honor what is coming up to transform and evolve through. And I know I've shared with you, like I've had so many Pluto transits in my own world the past 20 years. Like I've had Pluto transits straight. I can't remember if it's 14 or 18. Doesn't matter. All the Pluto transits I've had, I'm an expert. I'm your Plutonic expert, okay? Every Pluto transit I've had, you have to meet it with the sense of understanding the parts of you that have to permanently change. And for the fixed signs, that's a lot harder. But that's where you have these amazing new manifestations and changes. And it's so worth it. It's so worth it. And it's also really hard because you cannot rush Pluto transits. Like you're just in it. And that's what feels powerless, right? You're just in it. But that's also where you reprogram yourself to say, no, I'm not powerless in this deep life change. I'm just accessing my power in a different way. I'm looking at it in a different way. I'm going to reformulate this. My soul signed up for this. My soul knows this is exactly what is right on time for me. And I feel too like if you're going through a Pluto transit of any kind, you often need more time to yourself because you could be destroying things around you unintentionally. You could be taking that energy out on other people. You could be exhibiting that energy in some way in other areas of your life. So there's a deep responsibility with Pluto transits. And read books. Books are so validating on Pluto, on any sign. Even books on Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, whichever big transits you're going through, it validates what is coming up for you and the deeper stuff that you're digging into. So all of this is in the collective here, the first quarter of the year. Yes, it's Plutonic. I mean, the world is continuing to change permanently. And I know we say that, I say that, and you're like, okay, whatever, Molly, sure, whatever. And I was like, but wait, just see how things play out, because we're moving into new chapters that aren't evident right away. And so the final message I want to leave you with here is gratitude. And I don't mean that as like the 5 cents understanding of gratitude. I mean, look at everything that you have to be grateful for, starting with your own consciousness, the ability to understand these energies, the ability to work with them from a more empowered, wiser state, the gratitude of understanding that we get to be here during these big world changes, and that we get to see, how our energy contributes to the collective. Gratitude for the people in your world who are traveling with you, or who get it, or who are on the same page. Gratitude for your loved ones. Gratitude for health. Gratitude for your body and your physical being, and what you can take care of, what you can manage every day to stay healthy, to stay in like this optimum state of being. Gratitude for, all the information that we can read and consume and understand that supports us. Just if you start focusing on gratitude, that list expands, right? You start to see even more to be grateful for. So know that that is something to focus on, because what you focus on, you create. You create more of that. So gratitude can seem quite minimal and small, but then you start to realize, wow, I have a lot to be grateful for, even if I don't have everything I want or everything in front of me right now. I'm grateful for what I have created. And that can be really peaceful and really calming to the soul, So know that this is a big chapter, and we are here for it, and we're here to make it better too. Humanity is at a higher level of consciousness than it's ever been. That's amazing. What an honor. And I think of that as like, what an honor too, when you connect it to your ancestors, your lineage, what you're here to experience based on where you've come from. So thank you. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for these YouTube lives. I'm grateful that, I get to talk astrology with you. So thank you so much for connecting with me. I never take it for granted. I'm so grateful. Yeah. So I wish you a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Boxing Day, all the happies. And I'll have some more videos for you here on YouTube, of course. And I'm wishing you the very best here as we move through that solstice portal and into Capricorn season. So thank you. Bye. Thank you, Michelle, Olivia, Leslie, Jake, Nathan Lee. Oh, it's so good to see you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'll see you online too. Okay, bye-bye.